The union government's argument in the Supreme Court is that yes, there were some discrepancies in the conduct of the NEET exam, but these are very minor. Most of those who seem to have had some kind of advanced access to the questions were not the ones who seem to have done well, and therefore, on the whole, there is no need for the NEET exam to be conducted afresh. Is that an argument which holds? Should NEET continue in the way that it is? Should the National Testing Agency be given a second chance, an opportunity to improve its act, or should it be scrapped altogether? Joining me on this broadcast, I want to welcome first Zubin Malhotra, well-known career coach, counselor at Career Guidance India. And we've got Nandini Saini, she's a NEET aspirant. Anvi Gupta is also a NEET aspirant. Both of them are in favor of NEET being done again. To speak against the cancellation of the NEET exam, we've got Dr. Sarasri Neeru, she's a doctor. She's saying cancel NEET. We've got Keshav Karunakar, who's a parent of a NEET aspirant, and we've got Devansh Raj Srivastav, who again is a NEET aspirant. I want to go across to Zubin Malhotra first. Your argument is that NEET should be done again. Now, given the fact that 23 odd lakh students conducted the exam, and from what we've gathered from the investigation so far, there were some discrepancies but not major. It's not like there's a mass leak. There were minor pockets of leak. And from what the centre says in the Supreme Court, those who benefited by getting early access to the paper don't seem to be amongst the toppers. And therefore, the centre argues there is no reason for NEET to be scrapped altogether. Why do you think that this should not be the case? Why do you think we need a re-NEET?
Rahul, the centres claim that just because those who had access to the paper couldn't cheat well or couldn't do well enough with it is not an argument that the process has not been vitiated. There have been n number of discrepancies, right from the registrations to grace marks to extra times to things not being made open and public. So obviously the entire process has many question marks over it. In such a scenario, and you're talking about admitting a fresh batch of doctors who are going to be the health service professionals for the country for the future, do not reconduct the exam, which is completely above board, completely devoid of any of this controversy, is the correct way forward.
No, but why should those who've studied hard, made all this effort, done well in their exams, have to pay for the deeds of a few who tried to cheat? And according to the centre's affidavit in the Supreme Court, many don't even seem to have succeeded. I mean, the ones who got access to the paper in advance are also the ones who don't necessarily have done well, who haven't necessarily done well.
Yes, but the point is that can you say for a certain that nobody who had access to this, or that everyone who had access to this has been weeded out, or that there has been no discrepancy in how marks have been awarded or how they've been inflated?
No, but is it fair to inconvenience 22 lakh students? Because A, there is uncertainty. B, you'll have to give a certain number of weeks, 6 to 8 weeks for an exam to be held again. Then there is the whole counselling process. By the time it concludes, at least one semester would be jeopardized. Is that fair to all the students whose fate hangs in balance?
Unfortunately not, but that is the price that, a not well conducted and a watertight process is. And hopefully the learnings from this experience get translated not just into if a re-NEET happens, but also into the other exams conducted by the NT. Fairness has to be the overriding principle.
Keshav Karunakar is a parent of a NEET aspirant. He says absolutely no REET. He doesn't want it to be done again. You're hearing from Zubin saying that till the time you are sure that every single every single aspirant who clears the exam and then goes on to becomes a doctor came through kosher, you cannot take a risk because these are people's lives we would be jeopardizing if we let some of these hanky-panky candidates go through.
Yeah, so Rahul, let me bring the perspective. How many doctors this year will become? 1 lakh people. Okay? 50,000 will go into government college, 50,000 go into private college. People will go in private college. These are the guys who may not go at scoring 650, but 350, 380, 390, because they have the money to go. So we will have students who have not got good marks and going to the college. We will not stop that. Let's come back to 50,000 government students, right? And fight is for that only. I don't think fight is for private. Now 50,000 students who have qualified, do you think that they have qualified because of malpractice? I challenge this hypothesis. Why I challenge this hypothesis? I have been in Bangalore for 3 coaching institutes award function because my daughter has scored 695 and she was in the top ranker, so they called me. Not a single person who scored 650 and above. Coaching institutes can tell that this guy has got because of the malpractice. Not a single guy. And again, I'm telling to all students also. Anybody saying that there's a malpractice for 50,000 students who have qualified, find out who is your friend who has qualified, who has not, should not be there. Now coming back to malpractices that has happened, let's go back and look into malpractice wise. Paper leak. I can guarantee you, if paper leak is not at mass level, paper leak can help students who are scoring 600 and above. Anyone scoring average cannot use paper leak to qualify NEET, and that is what is NTA is trying to prove, and I agree, completely agree, because of the nature of the exam. Right? Question papers, paper are shuffled, options are shuffled, answers are shuffled. So average student who's just trying to remember answer overnight will not able to cross. Now come back to the problem statement that is there. April month, there was 25,000 people who registered. NTA should tell what is the result of those 25,000 students. That is what they should bring the trust. The bigger problem that is there in the system, as of today for 50,000 students I'm talking about, is Munna by MBBS. Somebody is impersonating that. That has happened in Muzaffarpur, where Prayagraj doctor's son got somebody else to give exam. Someone who is fixing the center. You know, Rahul, nobody is talking about this. Godhra, people got from Jharkhand, Bihar, Maharashtra to go to Godhra. How did they get this center? When center gets allocated 1 day before and 2 days before, we don't know how this is. And on those centers, how many such centers were fixed? Right? That is the problem. Nobody is talking about it. Now,
and the fact that there were students who are clearly either Hindi or English speaking who were writing in Gujarati. I mean, all these students who came from different states like Bihar, like Jharkhand, they are highly unlikely to have known Gujarati. Then how did they write their exams in Gujarati? That's the story that my colleague Brajesh Doshi did, and that's something which really reeks of serious problems in the system. And let me put that question, Nandini Saini, because if you've got English/Hindi speaking writing students filling out the exams in Gujarati, it means there's something terribly wrong with the state of NEET. Therefore, do you think that the exam should be held again, or do you agree with what Keshav Karunakar is saying? He says, no, there should be no exam because it's unfair to his daughter. She studied hard, she's done well. Why should she be made to go through this torture? And how do we know whether she'll get the same kind of score again? So Karunakar doesn't want to take a risk.
So I disagree with sir, what he has said earlier, that the exam should not be held again. The exam should definitely be held again. I am one of those candidates who got 660 marks, more than 650. I will be getting a college, but I will not be getting the college that I was supposed to get. I'm a resident of Delhi. I should have gotten a college in Delhi, but I'm not getting one. And the cases that he just described right now about impersonation, leaks, and the registration window that was specially opened in the month of April. How has the government not given any answers for these questions? How is it, and why is it that they are taking so much time to describe all these answers? If genuine students gave the examination, they studied hard, they've gotten the marks that they were getting prior to if RENEET has to be held, and if RENEET is held again, they will definitely get those marks again. If not those marks...
No, but there can be no guarantee, because I remember that I took the GMAT, I got 710. Now, there are times when I may have scored 690, 700. There was the odd time when I may have scored 730, 720 in the mock exams. So I remember from my own example that there is no guarantee if I took the same paper again that I would get the same marks. Thoda upar, thoda niche, both of this is possible. I mean, it can be argued by those who don't agree with your point of view that because you got 660, you think if you took the paper again, you could get a little bit more, which is why you're pushing for the exam to be done again. So it really comes down to individual choice and what you think might happen.
See, I agree. I have given a lot of mock tests myself. Either I will get more marks or the marks lesser than what I've scored originally, right? But this is not just about Nandini Saini here. It is about all the 23 lakh candidates who gave NEET this year. I'm not the only one who's sailing in the boat alone. Each and every kid who gave NEET is sailing in the same boat. Segregating all those people, if they were supposed to segregate those people, shouldn't they have done that earlier? Why are they taking so much time? And if they say that no leak has happened on a massive scale, then why is it that the CBI is still investigating all these other kids who were involved in the fraud? And why is it that they're still doing some arrests right now, at the very moment that we're speaking? There is no answer for these questions.
Okay, let me put that question to Devansh Raj Srivastav. You don't want the exam to be cancelled, but every week, new discrepancies emerge. Students from Jharkhand, Bihar going to Gujarat, writing the paper in Gujarati. I mean, the level of the scam seems to keep increasing. It may not be mass, but cheating is bad enough, and therefore it's being argued that, you know, there's so much doubt that's been created. The only way it can be cast aside is that if you wash the slate and start afresh, do the exam again.
Sir, because the thing is that the reconducting the whole retest for all the 24 lakh applicants, it is seriously a hectic situation for all of us, because, sir, when we prepare for this competitive exams now, in the last 2 months, it is so much hectic schedule for all the students who really work hard, barely work hard for to get enrolled into the medical colleges, for studying for the 17 hours, studying for 15 hours a day, because it will be a very hectic schedule for all of us if we if the retest is to be conducted again. So I don't think so that there is any need to conduct the whole retest for all the 24 lakh applicants. And sir, there were malpractices. Yes, obviously we all know that there were some malpractices in the other states also, Jharkhand, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Godhra. And sir, the thing is that what is a major thing is happening now, there is time loss for all of us, because sir, the counseling has to be conducted in the July 1st week, and it has not been delayed to the 3rd week. The loss what is happening is mainly to the students only. The counseling has been delayed.
Yeah, for everybody else, it's a matter of debate, a matter of discussion. It's the students who are the actual ones who suffer. Sarasri Niru, you're a doctor. You're saying cancel NEET. Why should the exam be cancelled? I mean, given the fact that about 24 lakh students appeared in the undergraduate exam, 4,750 centers, 571 cities, 14 international equations. It's so mammoth. I mean, because there were some stray instances of wrongdoing, should the entire exam be scrapped?
NEET lost its credibility due to the recent paper leakage and its irregularities. NEET exam patterns favors only students who can afford private coaching institutions, and which does not afford students who cannot afford private institutions, private coaching institutions, but who can secure high marks in class 12. Because of loss of coaching centers, they lost their dreams to pursue medicine, as their dreams to never get fulfilled. It is in the form of social injustice, social justice. It is in the form of, its question is in the form of social justice. How can the students from the different states studying +2 under a different syllabus can expect it to be well versed in one NCERT syllabus, and how difficult it can be. It is mandatory to violate NEET. It is mandatory to violate NEET because of it is a health and education must be a state subject. So education and health must be brought back under the state list.
Okay, so you're making a larger argument against the very format of the NEET exam itself, that it inconveniences and is biased against those who've studied in state boards, because it largely draws from the NCERT, CBSE syllabus, and therefore for those who come from state boards, they don't have an equal opportunity, and it goes against that. Zubin, you want to come in on that the state boards, because the counter argument is that if it's only held at the state level, then the scope of discretion is much more. Many meritorious students are actually left out. Whoever can pay capitation, whoever can find a way of bribing some of these colleges can find a way of going in, and therefore you need a standardized test, whether it's SAT, GRE, GMAT. These are standard exams. There's no jugaad that you can do in them. You need to go out, sit, study, and clear the papers.
Rahul, the answer to this lies, talk to any student or parent 20-25 years ago who was running from city to city, state to state, trying to figure out which exam to give, which not to give. And because every state used to have its own medical and engineering entrance exam, AIMS would then have a separate one, and JIPMER would have a separate one, and it was absolute chaos. And obviously, a student sitting in one part of the country would not be able to get a fair shot at other medical colleges across the country. So yes, you do need a nationalized standard entrance exam. Can the way that the current NEET-UG is being done, can it be made better? Most certainly. And, a couple of years ago, there was a harmonizing of syllabus across central and state boards, especially in the science subject areas. So I think that to a large extent has been covered. You can increase the number of languages in which the exam is conducted, which makes it an even more level playing field for students from across the country. However, what I find as a personal peeve really is that this one exam once a year, once a day, why cannot important exams like these or engineering or law be conducted 6 times in a year? You have a large enough question bank.
No, they can be done 6 times in a year, but then how would you get admission? Because if they happen at different times and these are staggered,
so
how would you do counseling?
Whenever and you pick your best score, and at the time when is the cutoff for the counseling, you will submit your best score from the previous 12 months.
No, but I end up wasting a year because of this.
No, you don't. You'll give that exam during your class 12, or if students who are dropping out, as in, so for
that's very easy for you to say because you're no longer in class 12. But if I'm in class 12, I have to study for my class 12 exam. How will I find time to study for NEET?
They're barely going to school. They're all anyway preparing for engineering and medicine. And God forbid, you wake up on the morning of the NEET exam, you have a bad head cold, you have a fever, your whole year is gone. So that's the counter to what you're saying.
No, that's a fair point. The fact that exams, as is the case internationally, are held on you can actually pick a date when you want to do it. Whenever you feel confident, you can go out and give the exam. And these are on computers, so it's not as if you have to sit and write on paper. I mean, that really is very basic, and we should be heading in that direction. I want to go across to Anvi Gupta. She says there should be scrapping and a fresh exam. Anvi, why do you think that, given all that we're hearing and seeing, why do you think the exam should be scrapped? Is that not unfair to those who did well?
Sir, it's unfair to both the parties, to the re-NEET who want re-NEET and to the ones who doesn't want no re-NEET. So the problem is it is not in the demands that someone is wanting re-NEET, someone is wanting no re-NEET. Problem is that the leaks, the irregularities are not being solved. We are also, if they accept that there has been irregularities, if they work upon it, if they solve this 25,000 puzzle that they registered on 9 to 10th April, if they investigate it, if they are so, I would say, focused, determined to do this, of course, no one would want re-NEET again. But are they accepting it? The question lies is, are they accepting the leaks? Are they, which they have made arrest in the other states as well? Are they writing that in the report? Are they accepting that?
Keshav Karunakar, this whole idea of the National Testing Agency itself and whether we should have a NEET exam. Some of the students feel that this is disadvantageous to state board students, which it is, because if you study in Delhi, because I've studied while I was growing up, because my dad was in the army, I studied in army schools, I studied in Kendra Vidyalayas, I studied in Tony public schools, so all kinds of schools. And there is a big difference. And if you're studying a state board and you have to compete with somebody who goes to school in the big cities, there is a very big difference, and therefore it's disadvantageous to people who don't have the equal opportunity.
You're asking me, Rahul?
Yes, I am, Mr. Karunakar.
Yeah, so Rahul, I'll tell you, we have been, whatever you were saying, that we have been a state going different places to give tests. It was really more chaotic and more corrupt than whatever it is today.
Right? You go back and see the education department and engineering exams and medical exams. Politicians' daughters have become doctor and engineers is full of this, okay? Now, I'll come back to your problem, that the state board guys getting disadvantaged. Whatever I have seen the state board syllabus, more and more is getting aligned to NCERT. It is not about NCERT books and syllabus. As of today, the problem statement that we have today about the NEET, see, credibility has been lost by NTA. Exam, again I'm telling you, 50,000 students are not, everybody has got cheated and reached there. Okay, and that is what my hypothesis is, that suppose Neeraj Chopra has won gold medal, some student has done, some participant has done doping, should not cancel the whole Olympics.
Okay.
Just take the medal from that guy and give it to other guy, right? So here, what Supreme Court is saying, find out the guys who have got benefit out of this malpractice, remove from the queue, and it is doable. One example I gave you.
No, but it's much tougher to determine who's cheated. It's not easy. Whether there's been cheating is easier to figure out than to figure out who specifically has cheated. There are no easy, clear answers. This is not a yes or no. There are many shades of grey. The fact that students from state boards are inconvenienced and have a slight disadvantage against those who've studied the NCERT, CBSE syllabus is very clear. The fact also is that there is more homogeneity, but is that good? Because states like Tamil Nadu argue they want to be able to have their own syllabus without having to worry about what the center is teaching. They want to be able to teach their own subjects. So there are many complexities at play here. We've been able to touch upon some of those. I just hope that there is clarity, because if you're a student and you don't know whether the exam is happening again or whether what you took is what stands, it just creates a lot of uncertainty, which can play all kinds of mind games with people. Students, parents, families, friends. I hope that this gets settled. I saw how in the courts very casually this was pushed by a week. That's not right. 24 lakh students took the paper. There's at least 1 crore people involved in the whole ecosystem, if not more. You have to take this seriously, my lord. You cannot just so casually be giving Tariq pe Tariq. Doesn't work. I'm out of time. I want to thank all our guests for joining us.